I am in a moving car, so if somebody text me if there's a problem, please.
Same car as Paris. Paris is a moving car too.
Yes, he is.
No, I'm slightly ahead. Yaakov, how was it?
It was very good. That beat was very good.
I left Shmini in the rest stop in a tree. I was going to eat a piece, Yaakov, then I figured it might need a hechsher once I open it.
You're right.
So I left it closed.
Yeah, that was a smart idea. Otherwise, it would have had a what do you call it? So, although if I recognized it, then it would be okay. Right? Okay, so we're up to the Mishna on Mem Ches Amud Aleph. Yeah? So, Zog the Mishnah. Hallel va simcha. Hallel and simcha Shmini. There's 8 days of Hallel and simcha. Obviously, including Shmini Atzeres, not including Simchas Torah. So, Ketzad. So, Melamed. So, this teaches us Shechayev the B'Halal Simcha or B'Kavod Yom Tov Ha'achron Shechag Kishar Kavod Zechag. So, what this teaches us, since it says 8 days, this teaches us that we're chayev in Hallel Simcha and Kavod Yom Tov even for Shmini Atzeres. Because otherwise, why would the Mishna say that you need Hallel and Simcha for 8 days? So it must be that Shmini Atzeres has the same chashivas as any other Yom Tov. Meaning, you would think that Shmini Atzeres is just one Yom Tov. It's not from the Shalosh Regalim, right? It's a Yom Tov from Re'atzma. So maybe it has different halachas. So the Mishnah is saying that no, it teaches us that it's got the same halachas.
We don't have any different Yom Tovim in the rices. What would it be?
You're right.
You play a softball game and make a barbecue. What would it be?
Well, the barbecue part people do.
Yeah.
Well, so Simchas Torah is a separate. That's not the same.
No, it is. It's Simchas Torah, but that's for those of us that are in Chutz La'aretz, right? Say, but it is an independent Yom Tov. For some reason, I mean, why does the Mishnah have to say Melamed Shechayev Odom B'Halal Simcha? It's mashma that there would be a havamina that you wouldn't be chayev and Hallel and simcha for whatever reason, right? So the Mishnah is telling you that you are. Yes, so talking about. I mean,
what does Ketzad mean here?
What is what? What do you say, Gershon?
Ketzad. What does Ketzad mean?
Yeah, the lashon is I don't know. No, it's Hallel v'simcha Shmini Ketzad. How do you know, right? How do you get for 8 days? So it's teaching you that the 8th day is chayev and Hallel and simcha, just like anything else, right? If the lashon is
it's not like Ketzad anywhere else.
Is a little. Yes, the lashon is a little confusing. I understand that. That's the only way. The teretz that I could think is that it's saying, how do you know that you have it for 8 days? Right. So the only way you're going to get it is if you say that Shmini Atzeres is just as chayev as any other regular Yom Tov. Right. Okay. So talking about it, how do you know that Shmini Atzeres does require all these chiyuvim just like any other Yom Tov? The rabbis later Yom Tov Achrei. It says Vayisa Ach Sameach that it comes to include the last day of Yom Tov. Or then anyone says no, maybe not. Or Yom Tov Rishon. Maybe that's coming to just tell us that Yom Tov Rishon is chayiv and nothing else. Meaning the first day of Yom Tov. So Shvaimer Ach Chilak, right, Gershon, right? So it says when it says Ach, so Ach is separating, right? Now it's interesting because normally ach is coming to exclude, right? Here it's coming to include, correct? Right? Isn't that right? Isn't that what it's saying? Normally ach, like what it says achilek that we say that. How do you know the Erev Pesach? It's only that you only have to not eat chametz half the. All right, so the different proportions say pshat in that. Then what's the pshat in that? What's the pshat in that? Okay. So the Gemara asks again. We had a choice. Right, we had a choice whether we're going to this to include Shmini Atzeres, or we're going to say is coming to include the first day. So the Gemara chooses Shmini Atzeres. So the Gemara says Umari Isa. The rabbis, Leila Yom Tov Achar and Leila Yom Tov Rishon. What do you see to include the last day Yom Tov and to exclude the first day Yom Tov? Ma'avani Leila Yom Tov Asik more answers. Ma'avani Leila Yom Tov Achar and Sheyesh simcha lefano. It makes more sense that Shmini Atzeres is chayiv because it has a day in front of it, and meaning the days in front of it have kedusha. So l'chayra, the 8th day is an extension of the kedusha. You might say and I'm not going to say that it's coming to include the night of the first night of Yom Tov, because there's no simcha before it. So since there's no simcha before it, it doesn't make sense that that's what we would include. Basically, what the Gemara, just to clarify what the Gemara is saying, is the Gemara is saying that there's no chi of simcha at night. The chi of simcha only starts during the day. Right? That's what the Gemara is saying. And we're going to include Shmini Atzeres because it makes more sense that Shmini Atzeres is the one that you're going to include because it had Yom Tov before it, so the Chayr is a continuation. Masha'en Kain, the first night of Yom Tov had no Yom Tov before it, so therefore the Chayr is not included.
Not included in what? In what?
It's not the night of Yom Tov is not included in simcha, meaning the Iker simcha of Yom Tov.
Why they call it Zman Simcha Seinu the Yom Tov then?
No.
Sukkos.
The day starts the Chi of Simcha, not the night.
So at night I don't have to have butter and yakin?
I don't understand. So you should eat a tuna fish sandwich the first night of Sukkos.
Oh, you're saying very good. Those that eat sudas, right? The stocks, you ate a bedafka at night because it's not the chi of simcha. There is no chi of simcha at night. So if you're going to eat a milk suda, eat it at night. That's what many say. Right? I don't know if it's based on this Gemara or not, but that's what the Gemara is saying. The Olam's not liking this.
I don't understand it.
I thought the first night.
I don't understand it.
Why?
Because I just don't. It's man simcha seinu, so it doesn't start at night. What
Right,
kind
because
we
Lamaisa,
start our days at night. So
True.
why are you saying the first night of Sukkot you should not say Yalla B'Yavai, having a regular chayil in your dungarees and your Met t-shirt and have a tuna sandwich and go to sleep, and then what
It's still Yom Tov. It's
what's
still
the
Yom
big deal of
Tov.
Sukkot?
No,
What's
but
the
that's
big deal?
That's why you do it. That's why we do have Yom Tov.
Why do we give so much chashivas to eating in the first night on Sukkot? Why do we give so much chashivas to
No,
it?
because the night takes on the day. But the bottom line is all the karbonos that they had to bring. There's no karbonos at night, right? Bottom line is
when did they shech the Shamli Simcha for Sukkot?
during the day, first day.
First day Yom Tov. Okay,
Yes, not at night.
a million people went to the base of Migdash the first day Yom Tov.
I don't know how that worked.
How did that work out?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
And
I hate to say-
I don't know.
I hate to say something practical. It always gets me in trouble. Me and Shia, we don't understand how any of this ever works.
Luckily, there's a mute button if you don't want to say
It's
it.
fine. So you could mute me, fine.
No, mute yourself.
Oh, I should mute myself. Okay, fine. I'm muting myself.
Anyway, no, but the point is, I don't know how they managed it. Maybe it was like Pesach. Right, but the bottom line is the karbanos were not brought until the day. There was no karbanos at night, that's for sure. Right, so therefore the chi of simcha is only following the day. So we had thought, okay, maybe taka. We're going to say that the word ach is going to include the chi of simcha and the first night. And we're saying no, it's not. It's going to include Shmini Atzeres, not the first night.
Is that true that the people that have dairy have it at night?
Not everybody, but the fruma The stipler only had a dairy meal for this reason, because the chi of simcha.
You're breaking up.
Where are we holding, by the way?
Mem Chesed Amud Aleph. We just finished the Mishna. We just finished the Gemara from the first Mishnah. We're up to the second Mishnah.
Thank you.
Till the day. So chi of simcha ain't simcha ela b'basar v'yayin. So the basar suda he had during the day. What?
You broke up a lot. And that's past.
What do you say?
You broke up a lot.
Okay,
Past
anyway,
minute.
so with the fine. So that's the finish here. That's okay. Right. The next mission is Sukkos Shiva, which I do. I'm on the I know now.
Yeah, it got better last second.
Okay, better now.
For now, yeah.
We heard that, yeah.
All right, fine. It has all the bars here, so it should be okay. Okay, thank you. Sukkah Shiva Ketzad. How do you have a sukkah 6 days? Gomer Milechol. So when you
7
finish
days.
eating, now
7 days.
what did I say?
6.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I would have said 6. I appreciate it. So Sukkah Shiva Ketzad. How do you have 7 days? Gomer Milechol. So on the 7th day, again, this is talking about for Eretz Yisrael, not Chutz La'aretz. For us, we have to move this all to Shmini Atzeres. But in Eretz Yisrael, on the 7th day, on Hoshana Rabbah, so once you're finished eating, lo yater sukkah, do not take down your sukkah. Why? Rashi says, because you may decide you want to eat more. Right? But the only thing is, like back then, they didn't have that many kelim like we have. So you have to start preparing for Shmini Atzeres. So what you do is you take the utensils out of the sukkah and bring them inside the house, because that will be a proper preparation for Shmini Atzeres. I'm sorry, I will borrow this again, but after mincha and later, you take the kelim out of the sukkah and bring it down out to the house, and they covered Yom Tov Achar and Shachag to show covered for Yom Tov. Meaning by preparing for the Yom Tov on Erev Yom Tov. So again, like we discussed yesterday, the problem with this, the issue is that Hoshana Rabbah for Eretz Yisrael and Shmini Atzeres for us is both it's a Yom Tov for Sukkos, and it's also a Yom Tov for Shmini Atzeres or Erev Shmini Atzeres. So we have to try and balance the two. So what the Mishna is saying to do is take the stuff out of the sukkah, take the kelim that you're going to be using for Shmini Atzeres out of the sukkah from mincha ulamal, right? And that shows covered to Shmini Atzeres. Yeah. So Gemara asks, "Ain't like something? Gemara ain't like frankly, Gemara ain't like kelim." What?
In Chutz La'aretz on Hoshana Rabbah, can you do the same thing before Simchas Torah, or that's Hachana on Yom Tov?
So I'm trying to hear. And Chutz La'aretz what?
On Hoshana Rabbah, can you take the stuff out of the sukkah and bring it in for Simchas Torah, or you can't do it because it's preparing from one day to the next?
On Hoshana Rabbah you can, yeah, because it's not actually Yom Tov. It's not actually Yom Tov. But you're right, on Shmini Atzeres. On Shmini Atzeres, you can't. You're right. You're 100% right. Yes, thank you. I should point that out. On Shmini Atzeres, you can't bring the kelim out because it's Yom Tov, meaning on Cholamayid, which Hoshana Rabbah is Cholamayid. On Cholamayid, you are allowed to prepare. You're not allowed to do malacha. It's confusing. On Cholamayid, you're not allowed to do malacha on Cholamayid for after Yom Tov. But just no malacha, just preparing for after Yom Tov is allowed. So for Eretz Yisrael, they can take it down. But us, Chutz La'aretz, that it's Shmini Atzeres, you're not allowed to take stuff and prepare it for Simchas Torah because it's a different Yom Tov. That's what you're saying, Avi, yeah? That's right. So you can't, thank you for pointing that out, 100%. In Chutz La'aretz, you cannot do this because then you're preparing from one Yom Tov to another Yom Tov. Now you could do a shtick, you could do a harama, and you can knead the kalim inside the house on Shmini Atzeres afternoon. You know, I'm going to decide to eat on these plates, and then you brought it inside already, and then you're fine. You know what I'm saying? But then you'll have to do something with the plate. You'll have to eat on it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You could do that type of shtick. But if you don't do that type of shtick, then it's not going to work.
Like you see, like you need the lighters inside to light one of the rooms and leave them in there.
Exactly. Right. But you'd have to light it in a room that would be dark. Otherwise, that might be an issue of lighting a candle for no reason on Yom. Right? So you'd have to put it in a dark room. Okay, so then Gemara says, let's say you don't have anything to take out of the sukkah. So how are you going to show respect to Shmini Atzeres? So Gemara asks, you have no kalim? What exactly did you eat in your sukkah with if you have no kalim? Right? You have to eat in the sukkah with something. Right? So the Gemara says, no, it must be the question is, let's say he didn't have a place to put his kalim, right? I don't know if that means he's homeless. I don't know exactly what this case is. The house is too packed. Like what? If he has no place to put the kalim, maybe he doesn't own a house. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. But whatever it is, if he has no place to put the kalim inside his house, so how's he going to show respect to Shmini Atzeres? So the B'chia Barav Omar Pachas Ba'arba. What you do is you break open the schach and you open up a hole in the schach 4 tvachim. Right? Now that's the way Rashi says it. Yeah. So by doing that, you're making your sukkah puzzle so that you're showing that you no longer need the sukkah. Now Taisus asks on Rashi, what do you mean 4 tvachim? If it's empty space, it's only 3 tvachim. You only need 3 tvachim, not 4 tvachim. Right? Taisus doesn't really answer. Right? Right, again, you're saying that you should pipe this 4 tvachim. That's where Rashi says, because you're putting space, an air of 4 tvachim. Air is possible, Rashi, that it's 3 tvachim really does make it possible, but you want to make it very recognizable that the sukkah is no longer good. So 4 tvachim is much more recognizable than 3 tvachim. Okay, so that's one teretz.
Yeah, but didn't we have a Gemara before that spoke about where they didn't have any place or a mukkam or something? I don't know what it was about, but it was about something. We said maybe Taki didn't have a place to live. And maybe before Sukkos he didn't have a place. Just a couple of days ago. I don't remember. A couple of days ago we were talking about it where it said maybe he had a place, but then before Sukkos he didn't have a place. It was about
we were talking about menorah. That was menorah. Right? Now we're talking about menorah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So that's one teretz.
Rashi means from the wall to the stuff. We even saw 3 12. No, these are 4. Because you wanted to connect. You let it 4 no.
4 of schach puzzle. 4 amos. It's empty. Yeah. See? Okay, so that's one teretz. What you do is you light the candles in there. Because we know that we had it earlier in the Masechta that if you have a small sukkah, you're not allowed to light the candles in there because it's going to make it smell bad. If you have a large sukkah, you could light the candles in the sukkah. If you have a small sukkah, you can't. So by lighting candles in the sukkah, you're showing that it's no longer going to be sukkahs, and now it's Shmini Atzeres. Right? The Gemara says, "For light pligi," and there's no machlokes between these two answers. Again, there were 2 answers. One, that you make the space of 4 tvachim in the schach, and the other one is that you light a candle in it. There's no machlokes halan v'halahu. One is talking about us in Chutz La'aretz, and one is talking about them in Eretz Yisrael. Right? So, meaning the us that since we need to sit in the sukkah on Shmini Atzeres, so we have to do the candle thing. We can't make the sukkah puzzle. You can't put it on Shmini Atzeres, or meaning on Hoshana Rabbah. You can't go make a space in there because you need the sukkah of Shmini Atzeres. But in Eretz Yisrael, they don't need the sukkah of Shmini Atzeres, so they'll put the candle. Right? So Gemara says, "Hatina sukkah katana sukkah doyle ma'ikol." Remember, that's all if you had a small sukkah. So then, by lighting a candle in it, you're showing that you're no longer using the sukkah. But a sukkah gedaila, you're allowed to light a candle on sukkahs. So what's that going to change anything? So Gemara says the ma'alba mani. What he does is he brings in his utensils into the sukkah. The ma'alba mani michla. He brings in his food utensils. Damarava mani michla barmer talalta. Right? We had this, 10, 15 blot ago that the utensils, food utensils, are outside. Barmi metalalta means outside the sukkah. Mani mishasya b'metalalta. But drinking utensils can go in the sukkah. And we said that's because eating utensils are dirty. They get dirty and they can get smelly and disgusting. But an empty cup doesn't look disgusting. So therefore, those empty cups and glasses and drink bottles, etc., you're allowed to bring it to the sukkah. But the serving dishes, you don't bring it to the sukkah because they end up being more disgusting than drink. Okay, next subject, next Mishna is talking about all about simcha space she'eva. Yeah, so Nisach Hamayim Ketzad, how did they draw the water, right? So we know that they used to draw water and on every day of Sukkos, and we're going to see that there's one sheet that holds even on Shmini Atzeres, and they drew the water and then they poured it on the Mizbeach, right? 3 lug of wine, and it's the Machlokes whether it was 1 lug measurement or 3 lug measurement of water, and they poured it onto the Mizbeach. We're going to see exactly how that goes, but they did that every day, and then they had the simcha space of she'eva, etc. And we'll see the simcha space of she'eva part tomorrow. But either way, so Gemara is going to describe what exactly went on. So Nisach Hamayim Ketzad, how exactly did they do this pouring of the water? They took a bottle that's made out of gold, that could hold 3 lug of liquid. They would fill it up from the shiluach, which is the stream that went outside the base of Mikdash and actually flowed through the base of Mikdash. Once they reached the gate of the water, they blew a tekiah and a trua and a tekiah, and then they brought it into the base of Mikdash. All of the kevish, the kohen gadol would go up the ramp of the mizbeach, upon the smoiloi, and then he would turn to his left, as opposed to every other time when the kohen turned to his right. Shnei svalim shakesef hayusham, and then there were two plates made out of silver. It wasn't made out of silver. It was made out of like mud or lime. But they became black because the wine that got poured on it. So the wine made it look black, but really it was supposed to go from gold to silver. You can go from silver to gold, not from gold to silver. But here, it went from gold to silver. Right? So that's the. So yeah, what? Okay, so that's Taisus Kasha. Fine. So so then let's continue. Right, doing a new coven, and these plates that they put onto the base of onto the mizbeach had holes in them. Onto the base now, kimin shnei chayt mitakin, like 2 nostrils, the 2 holes of the nose. So they had holes in them. And one was thick, one hole was thick and one was thin. That they both should go down at the same time, meaning they had these 2 plates on the mizbeach. They would pour into one of them wine, into one of them water. Right? And we wanted them to go down at the same time, which we'll see in the Gemara exactly what this is. So because we want them to go down at the same time, one opening was thick, one opening was thin. Yeah. Then the Mishna continues, second line down. The western plate was the water, and Mizracha Shel Yayin, and the eastern plate was the one that was getting the wine. If you confused it, and you poured the water into the wine plate and the wine into the water plate, you're still Yodz. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees in 2 ways. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with with the first part of Mishna. But look, they would use one lug of water, not 3 lug. Tanakama holds they use 3 lug of wine, 3 lug of water. Rabbi Yehuda holds they use 3 lug of wine and only one lug of water, and they did it for 8 days. Tanakama says 7 days because they didn't do it on Shmini Atzeres. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he held they did simcha space Sheva even on Shmini Atzeres. Then the Gemara says for the Manaseh Aimer, and the one who is pouring the wine, they said Aimer loy, they said to him, Hakbe yodcha, pick up your hands. Because one time it was an apikairis who was the kohen, like we learned in Yuma that there was many times the apikairis, and he poured it on his feet instead of pouring it into the plates. And the whole nation threw their esrogim at him, right? I mean, you gotta love this Gemara, right? This Gemara is fascinating. So the Olam decided to make a macha on him, and they threw all their esrogim because they didn't need their esrogim. I'm assuming they didn't need their esrogim anymore. It was on the last day. That's what I would assume, but I would hope for their sake, right? It wasn't earlier than the last day. Right now, I used to think that they made him hold up his hands. That's obviously can't be, because what's that help? What it means is that they made him pick up his hands when he poured it, so that they can see where he's pouring it into. They got to make sure they see. What?
They're still on the phone. They're still on the phone.
So they can see where he's pouring it into. Okay, the Gemara will discuss exactly what they threw at it. Yeah, so Kemaseh, then the Gemara finishes off by saying, how is it done on Shabbos? Kemaseh b'chol, kach maseh b'Shabbos. The way they did it during the week is the way they did it on Shabbos. Meaning everything was the same, but they had to take the water before. They filled up a barrel of a gold barrel, right, from the shiloh, but they wanted to make sure that the barrel did not have any kedusha, which we'll see later on tomorrow's daf Hashem, that why it didn't have kedusha, but why they dafka didn't want it to have kedusha, but they filled it up in a barrel that didn't have kedusha. Right, and it did not get, that was not mekudesh, and they filled it up from the shiloh. And they put it into one of the rooms. Right? Mishpacha, let's say the water spilled from the barrel, or niskalsa, or it got megilu, meaning it was left open all night. So we know that if you leave out drinks all night, then we're afraid that a snake is going to bite it and put its venom into it, and it's going to become dangerous. Oh, nobody's drinking it. That's true, because here you're just pouring it on the mizbeach. But if it's no good for humans, then it can't be good for Hashem, which the Gemara will discuss also. Right? So, Nishbecha, if it got spilled, or Niskalsa, or it was open the whole night, then they just went to the regular, it's equivalent of a sink. How do you type Shakir again? What? The big, like the portable sink.
A basin, a wash basin.
Wash basin. Yeah, okay, the key or the wash. Well, from the thing that
They say a lever or something.
It was a barrel.
The thing that they use to wash their hands and the feet. The Kohen Gadol, the Kohen on Yom Kippur, how do you wash his hands and his feet?
Is it a pitcher?
So anyways, it's not really a pitcher. It's a huge vat that had both spouts on the top and on the bottom for them to wash their hands and their feet. The Kohanim, because they had to wash their hands and feet every time they changed, etc., etc. So that water also had kedusha. So if the water spilled that they prepared for Erev Shabbos, they can't go fill it up on Shabbos because it's carrying outside Rosh Hashanah. So they use this water. The reason why you had to use the water if it was left out is because wine and water that was left out overnight, meaning uncovered, is puzzle for the mizbeach. We'll get to that tomorrow, Mr. Sherman, exactly what that is. So everyone asked me on immediately, how do we know that you're supposed to blow the shofar, tekiah, trua, tekiah, when you're drawing the water? So we haven't had a song in a while. Yeah, so right? Shavta b'mayim b'sasan. You got many songs to choose from for this one, right? And they drew water with happiness. Okay, so then the Gemara says a really interesting story here. Hanu train mine. There were two apikorsim. Chad shmei sasain, b'chad shmei simcha. One's name was sasain, one's name was simcha. Okay. Amarle sasain the simcha. So the sasain told simcha, "Ano adifna minoch. I'm better than you. Tifsiv sasain the simcha yasigu." Okay, parents, that's another song, right? Happiness and simcha, you're gonna reach, you're gonna get. So you see that sasain comes before simcha. So therefore, I'm better than you. Okay, I don't know exactly what he was trying to get at because his name is better. That means he's better. Okay, but that was the Narish fight. Yeah.
Isn't that a little ironic that Apikarsim are using a pasuk to argue with each other?
Well, so the Apikarsim believed in Torah Shabbat Peh, Torah Shabbat. Right?
Okay.
They didn't believe in Torah Shabbat Peh. So that's exactly what it is. They're using it. They didn't deny Hashem. They just said that only Torah Shabbat. Right, so then Amar Simcha l'Sasan, Simcha told back.
I heard, by the way, I heard a reason that they pelted this kohen with a strigan. Why a strigan, Dafka? Because the guy who put it on his feet was a tzedaki. And an astrig, we only know that it is, that creates other means astrig through Torah Shabbat Peh. Yeah.
From the Rabban. I hear. Interesting. Okay. So anyway, so he said back to him, I'm only simple as sasan. I'm not different enough to simple as sasan like you did, right in the Megillah. It says simcha came first. Amalei sasan la simcha tag yama shavko shavich parvanka to sim keep a simple say. One day you're gonna shavko shavich parvanka. They're gonna abandon you, and you're gonna be considered like a gopher. Like a parvanka is like a messenger boy or something like that. Because it says with simcha yetzeo, they're going to go out. So he's like the messenger boy or the guy that goes ahead to let everybody know that you're going. I mean, it's not such a great job. So he's trying to tell him based on a pasuk that simcha is not good. Amalei simcha l'sasan, simcha told back to sasan. In the future, they're going to leave you, and you're going to be a water carrier, somebody carry the water to still shavtem mayim b'sasan. Right, and you're supposed to draw water with sasa.
I know that we're not really understanding Agadata, but what exactly are we supposed to learn from this?
Right?
Nothing.
This, on the surface, this Gemara, see, what does this have to do with anything? Right? Well, there's a few kashas. One is what's a pshat in this Gemara, which I don't really have any decent pshat. I mean, I didn't really look too much. I was been in the car most of the day, so I'll be honest with you, right? But there's also another kasha. Which one is taka better? That's already a yeshiva bacher type question. Bottom line is, which one is, meaning is sasan better than simcha or simcha better than sasan? Right? Meaning, if you're, which word?
Why can't it just be different? Why can't it just be different in two different emotions?
Good, but so how come the Torah sometimes uses sasan first and sometimes simcha first? What does that mean?
Right, because it's two different emotions, two different types of what's it called? The one doesn't be better than the other.
That's what you have to say. But it needs an explanation of which one, why one is one, why the one and one is the other. It does need an explanation, no?
Well, David.
Yes, Naftali, I think you're 100% right. By the way, Naftali you mentioned Naftali is an anical of the carbon nasanal from last night's daf. So I wonder if he sits in the sukkah Shmini Atzeres or not. But,
no, he's been the carbon nasanal is biking for Chai on Shmini Atzeres. Shmuel David. This Gemara happens after they finish the Simchas Beis Shoeva. So if you ever had a good Simchas Torah, you would understand this Gemara. You need to have a good Simchas Torah under your belt to understand the Sasan and Simcha. It's after it's after the Mishna of what do you call it?
Simchas Beis Shoeva.
Simchas Beis Shoeva. So that's the next thing is Simchas Torah.
Yeah.
That's what this Gemara is. This Gemara is a continuation of the Mishnah. Talking about a Geshmak of Simchas Torah. That's it.
There you go. Yeah, so I hear that. Anyway, so that's the first Maisa. Then the next Maisa, also, Amalei Ahu Mina Deshmei Sasan Rabavo. There was a min whose name was Sasan. Said to Rabavo, Asidisu Tamalu Limayim La Alma Asi. You guys in the next world are going to end up being water carriers for me. Why? The sim shaftemayim b'sasan. You're going to draw water with sasan. Which, okay, so how did what? I mean, because his name was Sasan, he says, therefore, all the from people are going to draw water for him. What he was thinking, I don't know exactly. Right? Who says the from people? Maybe they're not from people. Maybe they're Apikosim are going to do it for him. But either way, Rabbi Vo says back to him, if he would have said that we're drawing water for Sasan, okay. And there's another question is who says he's the right Sasan? I'm sure there were many people named Sasan. Who says he's the one? Okay, right? So, but he says if it was said this Sasan, so then maybe. Right? Hashtu the siv bis Sasan. So now that it says we're going to draw water with Sasan, now listen to this line. Mashche dahu gavra hashvinin lekuda umalina beimaya. The skin of that person, meaning referring to the apikaris, we're going to end up using as a jug to fill us up water. Meaning we're going to be shapta mayim besasan. We're going to take your skin and use it to draw water with your skin. That's how bad it's going to be for you in the next world. Right? Did I freeze? Am I good?
Yes,
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear
So
you.
anyway, so I think what's going on here is that he's basically making fun of them about the next world, right? One of the main things that the Apikarsim didn't believe in was Tchias HaMesim and loss of love, right? So they didn't believe in Tchias HaMesim. So he's trying to tell them, you guys are going to just be water carriers. There's no next world. There's no Tchias HaMesim. There's nothing like that, right? So that's why Rabbi Vo is going after him so stark. The Tosfos Yom Tov says that why do we learn Mishnayos for the Iliyah and the Neshama? Right? So he says, what first step is Mishnayos? So he says, because what are we saying? When somebody's nifter, we say that there's going to be Tchias HaMesim, we'll get back together. What was the first Torah Shabbat Peh? The first Torah Shabbat Peh is Mishnayos. Right? So we're learning Mishnayos to show that we do believe in what the Chachamim said, that there's Tchias HaMesim. Tchias HaMesim not in the Torah. That's what Al Bikarsim. It doesn't say anything in the Torah about Tchias HaMesim. By us learning Mishnayos, Lila Neshama, essentially what we're saying is that we believe that there's a next world and there's a Tchias HaMesim, not like the Al Bikarsim. And Bez Hashem, the Nifter we will see. We'll greet back the Nifter after he's after Tchias HaMesim. That's why we learn. That's the way the Tosfos Yom Tov says why we learn Mishnayos. So that was this whole give and take here with Rabbi Bo. He's telling him stark, like we're gonna use. You're not gonna have Tchias HaMesim. We're gonna use you as a utensil. That's what he's telling the Apikaris. Fine. Okay, weiter. So then
we couldn't find any other story about Tzassim and Simcha besides to Apikaris.
The what?
It's Agada. It's Agada. You could always find another story to teach you something.
I don't know. What are you asking?
Tzassim and Simcha. Well, we bring all of these Apikaris and stories about Apikaris. There's no about Tzassim and Simcha.
I don't know. They were Apikaris. That's for sure. That's what the Gemara says they were Apikaris. So I don't know. Yeah, okay, so let's see back. All of the Kevish upon the smiler. So he went up the ramp and he turned to his left as opposed to turning to his right. So Tanaraban, Kala Oilam the Mizbeach, Oilam Derech Yamin. Anybody who goes up the Mizbeach, you go up the right side, Makifin, and you go around, Yard and Derech small, and you go to your left. Right?
We had that already.
Yes, we did. We had it in
Something. I remember.
Psachim maybe, Psachim, But anyways, yeah, very good. So everybody goes to the right, except for somebody who goes up for three things. For these three things, Shailam Derech small, you go to the left. and then you go back, right? You turn right around. Ekev means you make an about face, and you turn right back around. Meaning, normally, what the Ganim did is they go up the right side and then go around. Right, and what they would do is they would turn towards the inside, so that when they're turning to their right. Right, meaning everything you're supposed to do is turn to the right. That's the Gemara of Tali is talking about. And so you're always supposed to turn to your right. So if you go up the ramp and then you make a right turn, then you make a left to go around, you're not turning to your right. Except if you turn yourself around, then you will be going to your right, which is the big issue with when you're coming back with the Sefer Torah, when you're bringing the Sefer Torah to the bima, the chazan. So the reason why he's turning to his right is because he turns around. If he turns around to the tzibur, he's actually going to his right. If he keeps his back to the tzibur, then he's going to his left, which is not supposed to be done. But either way, when he goes on the left side,
isn't this a shaila on Hagba also?
Same thing with Hagba.
Which way you turn?
Yeah, very good. Similar to that. Yeah. So, but here he goes up the left side of the ramp, and then he makes an about face, and he comes right back down the left side. He doesn't go around. Right? What are these three things? Nisu chamayim, v'nisu chayayin, when they go to pour the water and pour the wine that we just learned. When there's too many korbanos on the right side, so then he ends up doing it on the left side where there's more room. Fine. So we said that these plates that they poured it into, right? So then they would get black. So Mishlam, but the yayin mashkir, right? We understand why the wine one got black. The wine is purple, dark, so that makes it black. The maya, my mashkir, how come the water one? Why would the water one get black? So since Mar said that if you pour from one to the other, then your yotza shemayim shuri. So sometimes the water one will also get black. Which again, I don't understand. How many times did this Kahana make a mistake? We said many times Kahana must reason. Right? How many times did they pour the wine into the water one? But it sounds like often enough that even the water one, if it got black because of the wine. All right, fine. Then the Gemara says so it had a hole, like it looks like two noses, and one was thicker and one was thinner. Later must let's say the Mishna is like Rabbi Yehuda, but later Rabbanan. And Rabbanan, the time Rabbi Yehuda, I remember, look how you Shmini. Again, remember we said in the Mishna, Rabbi Yehuda held that there's only one lug of water, not three lug. So we're saying that the Mishna is mashma like him, the Rabbanan ki adadinin. Because if it's the Rabbanan, wine is the same amount as water. So you shouldn't have the same size hole. Meaning we're saying that there's two different size holes so that they should both end up going through at the same time. So according to the Rabbi Yehuda, who says there's only one of wine, one lug of water, and three lug of wine. So of course, if you want them to both go down fully at the same time, you're gonna have to make the wine one wider because you need more to go in there because there's 3 times as much wine going through as water. So that's why the wine one needs to be wider. Right? But according to Rabbi Yehuda, so according to Rabbi Yehuda, that makes sense. But according to Rabbanan, they're both 3 and 3. Why do you need to have 2 different sizes? So the Gemara answers, Afilu Temer Rabbanan, it could even be the Rabbanan. Chamra Samiv Maya Kolish. Wine is thick and water is thin. So since the wine is thick, it's going to take longer. The 3 lug of the wine is going to take longer to get down than the 3 lug of water because the water is less thick. It's not, what do you call it, viscous. It has less viscosity and it'll go through faster. So that's why you had to make the wine one a little wider, like this, the water and the wine will go through together. Hachanam, Mr. One says that makes sense. The Rabbi Yehuda, because it was Rabbi Yehuda, Rachav Akotzer Islay. He shouldn't have said thicker and thinner. He should have said wide and thin. The Tanya of Yehuda, Mishnei Kasvais Hayushan. Right? He says there were 2 kalim. Kasvais means 2 utensils there. Echad Shomayim, Echad Shoyayin. One made out of water, one made out of yayin. Shoyayin piyah rachav. The wine one had a very wide mouth. Shomayim piyah katzer, and the water had a small mouth. So that they would both end up running through at the same time. Shmamina. So therefore, we hear from this that it's wine is thicker than water, and therefore you need to have two separate two holes that are different sizes. Okay, we'll stop over here. I hope appreciate the patience of me being in the car over here. Right? Okay,
Have a good
good
evening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
It's Yaakov.
Yeah.
Talking about these apikarsim, I had a story myself with a missionary a few years ago. He was bugging me about something stupid. I could remember. I had enough of it. So I asked him if he believes in the Old Testament. He says, yeah. I said, so why don't you wear tzitzis yourself? Oh, he was bugging me about tzitzis. I said, why don't you wear them? He says, that's not in the Old Testament. I said, yeah, it is. I'll show you. Yeah. I had him open his own Bible, found Parshas tzitzis. Yeah. I made him look it up himself. He says, I have to think about this. I don't know why we don't do this. And then he looks at it for a second and he finds the title V'loisa Suru. He reads the first three words, and thou shalt not. He says, the Bible says, thou shalt not. That's why we don't do it. The Bible says you shall not. Uh-oh. We lost him. Sviago, are you there?
He was probably laughing so hard, he hung up.
It's a good mice, no? These people are so stupid. It's unbelievable.
I once had a Jews for Jesus guy. His last name was Greenberg in Yonkers.
Greenberg?
His last name was Greenberg, working in Yonkers. And he comes, he goes, you can read Hebrew, right? I'm like, yeah, I can read Hebrew. I mean, I daven a little bit. He goes, I got this book and I don't know what it means. So I'm like, oh, for sure. Last name guy Greenberg. I'll help you out, of course. Maybe he wants to be Makari. So I start reading it, and the first thing is like Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, and then it starts talking about like the greatness of God coming down to earth. I'm like, I look at him, I go, is this Jews for Jesus? He goes, yeah, I got it from this guy and it changed my life. I'm like, do me a favor. Don't ever walk into my office with books like this again.
No, Gershon, I had that. I was Miss Spencer was asking me after we had one of these parties. She goes, "Why do you have those strings?" I said, I googled where it was in the parsha, and I said, whatever, Genesis 13:27, and she looked it up, and I said, it's right there. God said to Moses, blah, 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 if you have a four-cornered garment, you got to put these strings on it. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that one. And she looked it up, and she goes, oh, okay, makes sense. I said, nowadays we don't wear four-cornered garments, but in order to get the credit for actually wearing it, we created this four-cornered garment, put the strings on it, and now we get the credit. I said, you always call me Rabbi Loophole. There you go. She loved it. She was like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Gershon, I'm doing a half of you. I'm doing a drive to Baltimore.
Oh, really? Good luck with that.
Oh, almost done. So.
Did you get anything good to eat?
So.
What's with that?
My mother bought me. She was in Wasserman and Lemberger, so she calls me.
Right.
I'm in there. She sends me pictures. What do you want? I said, so you know what? I'll take the candied beef bacon and I'll take this other thing, and then I don't remember the name of it. I said, get me a package of that. Okay, no problem. Then she goes, you're going back. I'm going to send you some extras. Put it in my freezer. I thought it was more like beef jerky. So Tsiaka calls me. He goes, I'm a half hour ahead of him. If you stop in the gas station, maybe leave a package for me.
That's what that was all about?
That's what that was all. So I found a tree. I took a picture of it. I had my kid stand next to it so it doesn't look weird. And I left it halfway up the bush.
Wow.
Oh,
And he stopped. He stopped and he got it. Now he's good.
Where are you up to?
I'm just getting off the New Jersey Turnpike.
I know.
So,
So you're just over halfway there.
no, almost done.
What?
Getting into Staten Island now. I'm getting off the Gotham Bridge. Or the outer bridge.
coming home?
Exit. Yeah, exit 13. I drove in
He said he was
yesterday.
going to Baltimore.
No,
Yeah, that's
from
what he
Baltimore.
said. That's not what he meant.
Oh, okay.
Fiacco went tonight. Turned around, said Mouse Club, turned around, and is now on his way back.
Who's driving him though?
My brother, Nutson.
Nelson?
We split it. He drove halfway, Nelson, and then the other one drove the other way, and then I guess Nelson driving back so he can do the dock.
Of course. All right. Well, safe travels. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it, man.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Oh, parrots.
Yeah.
What's with Siyam? We're doing Sukkah and Beya together?
I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe Sukkos. We'll do something on Sukkos, maybe.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
I don't know. I didn't speak to them. I have to speak to the CM committee. Could be they.
I spoke to Aaron last night. He said probably after Beya. Make one of both.
Well, when is it?
It's about 2 weeks after Sukkot.
Oh. Well, Taco. When do we do Rosh Hashanah?
Beya's short. Beya's 40 block.
When do we do Rosh Hashanah?
After Beya, for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
I think that's the plan. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought maybe they started a new committee without me. Because I ruined the meat. Maybe they threw me out of that committee.
It's not happening so fast.
Could be. You never know. $400 piece of meat down the drain.
But is Yoshi Katz on the committee?
Yeah, I do.
So maybe, I don't know.
Anyhow. All right.
Have a good one.
I'll speak to you.
Don't.
You got it, man.